The sun had barely risen over the quiet village of Raventon, a small place hidden between mountains and forests. Every morning, the mountains glowed gold when the first sunlight touched their peaks. To most villagers, it was just another day beginning. But to Arjun, every sunrise meant something more. Arjun was a 17-year-old boy who lived in a tiny wooden house at the edge of the village with his mother. His father had passed away years ago, leaving behind debts and unfinished dreams. Their house was simple, their meals modest, and their life filled with struggle. Yet Arjun had something many people didn't: a burning dream. He wanted to become an engineer and build bridges and roads that could connect remote villages like his to the rest of the world. But the problem was simple and harsh. Dreams required education, and education required money. Most people in the village told him the same thing. Dreams are for the rich. One man laughed. You should work in the fields like everyone else. Another advised, life is about survival, not dreams. For a while, Arjun started believing them. The day everything changed. One evening, while walking home after helping in the fields, Arjun climbed a nearby hill. From there he could see the entire valley, the rivers winding through forests, the distant mountains, and the tiny lights of the village beginning to glow. On the top of that hill was an old wooden signboard left by a traveler years ago. The paint had faded, but the words were still visible. The future depends on what you do today. Arjun stood there staring at those words. At first they seemed simple, but slowly they began to echo in his mind. If my future depends on what I do today, then what am I doing today? He realized something powerful in that moment. The villagers weren't controlling his future. His poverty wasn't controlling his future. Even his past wasn't controlling his future. His actions today were small steps. The next morning, Arjun woke up before sunrise. Instead of sleeping late after working in the fields, he started studying from old books he borrowed from the village school. Many pages were torn and some chapters were missing, but he didn't care. He made a routine. Wake up at a.m., study for 3 hours, work in the fields during the day, study again at night. It wasn't easy. Some nights he was so tired he fell asleep with a book on his chest. Some mornings the cold wind made his fingers numb, but every time he felt like quitting, he remembered the words on the hill. The future depends on what you do today. So he kept going. The mockery. Not everyone supported him. His friends laughed. Why are you studying so much? They asked, you think you'll become some big engineer? Some villagers mocked him. You're wasting time, they said. Life will put you back in the fields anyway. But Arjun had changed. Before, their words would have crushed him. Now they fueled him, because every day he asked himself one question. Will today move me closer to my future, or further away? The opportunity. 2 years passed. One day, a government scholarship exam was announced for rural students. Only one student from the entire district would receive it. The scholarship would pay for engineering school in the city. For Arjun, this was the door he had been waiting for. But the competition was intense. Students from better schools, with better teachers and resources, were preparing for the same exam. For a moment, doubt returned. What if I fail? Then he remembered the hill, the sign, the words. The future depends on what you do today. So he studied harder than ever before. The exam. On the morning of the exam, Arjun traveled to the city for the first time in his life. Tall buildings surrounded him, cars filled the streets, and hundreds of students entered the exam hall. Many looked confident. Arjun looked nervous, but he carried something. When the exam started, his hands trembled at first, but as he read the questions, something surprising happened. He knew them, page after page. Problem after problem, everything he had studied late at night suddenly came alive. The result. Weeks later, the results were announced. The entire village gathered near the school where the list was posted. Arjun walked slowly toward the board. His heart pounded so loudly he thought everyone could hear it. He looked at the top of the list, and there it was, rank number 1, Arjun Maida. For a moment he couldn't move, then the reality hit him. The boy from the small wooden house. The boy who studied under a dim lamp. The boy people said would never succeed, had won the scholarship. Years later, 10 years passed. One day, a large bridge was inaugurated near Raventon village. It connected the remote valley to the main highway, bringing jobs, hospitals, schools, and opportunities. At the opening ceremony stood the chief engineer of the project, Arjun. As he looked at the bridge stretching across the river, he remembered the boy standing on the hill years ago. The boy who had once wondered if his dreams were impossible. Later that evening, Arjun walked back to the same hill. The old signboard was still there. The paint was almost gone now, but the words remained. The future depends on what you do today. He smiled, because he knew something most people never realize. The future isn't built in a single moment, it's built in thousands of small choices, made every single day. The lesson. The story of Arjun reminds us of a simple truth. Success is not created overnight, dreams are not achieved by wishing. The future is